This week on episode 4 of Split Decision.
All right, so UFC 290 from this past weekend may have been the best card of all time. This thing, top to bottom, was exciting. Top to bottom, there were upsets, crazy finishes, dominant performances. I really think this card probably had everything you could want in a fight card. What do you think? Especially for International Fight Week.
It was very exciting. I think you're right when you say top to bottom. It was amazing. We had 4 sub 1 minute knockouts on the entire card, which is insane. I had a lot of fun with this card. I did pretty well in my picks. I was happy the whole time watching it. I was excited.
Yeah, even the picks I got wrong, they were such good fights and good performances, like I didn't even care.
Yeah. This was a special card. UFC did great with International Fight Week, presenting a bunch of different countries. Title exchange. We had an and still. Bunch of highlights to take a look at.
And speaking of that and still, the main event, Alexander Volkanovski, Yair Rodriguez. Alexander the Great Volkanovski may have solidified himself as the 145 UFC GOAT after this performance. And he enters the conversation for greatest of all time, regardless of weight class. He absolutely dominated Yair. He did whatever he wanted. It looked like, honestly, that after his last fight against Islam, even though he lost, because he competed so well and wrestled so well, he knew coming into this fight, Yair could not fuck with him. He was throwing him all over the place. And even by the end, when he finished him, it was almost like he got hit one time and then said, all right, that's enough, and just went and finished him whenever he wanted to. It's like he could have done it the whole time.
Yeah. That's actually what I'd like to piggyback off of. In the third round, that was probably Yair's best round. Not to say that he was, dominant by any standpoint, but as soon as Yair started to kind of tilt the round in his favor,
Volk said, fuck this.
Volk did a double leg, took him down, and then just ground and pound. We had a great, and still.
Well, he knocked him down first.
Yeah.
Knocked him down with his fist.
Knocked him down and a double leg in the same round. Just completely flipped it on him.
But yeah, with this performance, Volk, I think I have him as my pound-for-pound number 1 fighter. I think he's the best fighter in the UFC. He's so well-rounded. He always has such good game planning going in. He's smart. Honestly, there's nothing in the octagon the guy can't do.
He learned so much from Islam. Or not from Islam, from the Islam fight.
From the fight. I agree.
Man, not like he wasn't good at wrestling, but Ortega almost made him tap. Admittedly, the previous fight.
Yeah, but jiu-jitsu and wrestling are totally different.
Right. But his grappling defense, his wrestling, I think the last 2 fights he had before Yair just opened his eyes to what he can increase his scope
he knows
on.
If you wrestle with Islam that well, and then you go back down to 145, he knows he can just throw these dudes around.
And he did.
He literally threw Yair around.
Very good fight. And for our co-main event, we had another title fight. We had Brandon Moreno, the Assassin Baby, versus Alexandre Pantoja. What is his name? The Cannibal?
The Cannibal.
All right. So, a little bit of backstory for this. Unofficially, officially, this is their third encounter. Pantoja beat Moreno twice before. Once, was it in the Contender Series?
Ultimate Fighter. He choked him out.
And
then in
lost to decision. Moreno lost to decision.
in the
first official bout
in the UFC, and it actually caused Moreno to get cut from the UFC at the time. I think it was 2018.
Right. So a little difference of career leading up. Brandon got cut, then he came back, and then pretty much just fought Davis Figueiredo for the past 5 years. Which is fine.
4 out of his last 5 fights.
It was a pretty, fantastic exchange between the two of them over the time. But then Pantoja was silently just working his way, up the rankings this whole time, biding his time, waiting for a chance to take the belt.
Well, you got to feel good if you're Pantoja coming into the fight and you knew that you had beaten Brandon Moreno twice, the champ. That's got to give you a little extra confidence. And he came out. I mean, this was probably, I think, one fight of the night. I think this all around was the best fight of the entire night.
It was very good. Pantoja showed where he kind of had Moreno's card in the first two exchanges, but he also showed where he grew throughout his career at the same time. Because I'll admit, I was wrong with my pick. I thought Moreno was going to retain the belt. I thought not that nothing crazy was going to happen, but I thought everything was just kind of going to stay the same. What we got was Pantoja, in my opinion, split decision was kind of wrong. I thought Pantoja should have won by unanimous decision.
Well, I mean, I could see how it. I had it 4 rounds to 1 Pantoja, but there were a lot of close rounds. Some people had it 3-2 Moreno. I saw that.
I had Moreno winning the second and third round.
I think the most common score was 3-2 Pantoja all around, which is I think was fair. I mean, Pantoja, he was great on the ground. Moreno was great on the feet. They both pieced each other up. Brandon Moreno was looking rough at the end of this fight.
He was.
But Pantoja, man, this dude's he's a killer. I don't know if a lot of people, even though this was a title shot, I don't think a lot of people realized this dude is a very good fighter. He's very well-rounded, and he's a good and exciting champ for the 125 division.
Right, and as Vin Diesel would probably agree, when you're fighting for family, you have the edge.
Yeah, that was an emotional call-out. Some people are saying it's one of the best post-fight speeches. When he said his dad who abandoned him, he just asked if his dad was proud of him now.
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
A tearjerker. All right, moving on to the next fight of the night. This may have been the best individual performance of the night. Dracus du Plessis against Robert Whittaker. And Dracus, he proved everybody except for Alex, apparently, wrong.
Alex and Bucky.
He kind of outschooled and dominated Robert Whittaker, which was a surprise to everybody. Robert Whittaker had come in, I think he was 13-2 as a middleweight in the UFC, and the only 2 losses were to Izzy. He pretty much dominates everybody else.
Right, and so I'm not trying to be boastful or anything. I want to talk about this in a real setting. Obviously, Bucky's bullshit picks were 50-50 on every one. He went like 2-3 for the whole week, so fuck him. But the thing I really think everybody overlooked with Dracus was that he's not a slouch in his own right. And
yeah, but he has never looked close to this good before.
No, I guess the deviated septum really cleared things up. But
I think it did.
Outside of that, obviously Bobby Knuckles is going to be back.
I don't know. Where does he go from here after getting dominated like that?
It's not the end. Listen.
It's not the end, but it might be the end as a serious title contender.
It could. I mean, you got to put him on the monitor, right? But everybody just simply counted Dracus out. They just because Whittaker's only losses were to Izzy.
Well, no, it's because of how good Whittaker is, not just because
he is. No, but not you. But the masses, casual fans, are weighing that heavily when they're like, oh, well, he's top tier, which he is. He's up there, only losing to people like Israel Adesanya, which he did. But when you have an up-and-comer, somebody on the rise like Dracus, they have the hype, not as much hype, right? They don't get the benefit of the doubt, but anybody can win any given week. If Whittaker, he said today, I believe, he wasn't there to fight. Obviously he didn't feel like that coming in, but you can tell what the outcome.
I mean, you're making good points, but even Dracus said Whittaker, even after the fight, he said this should have been the favorite. So I don't think anybody was overlooking him. He has just never performed anywhere close to this good, and I think he won a lot of fans because of this. Like, it was an impressive win. And then the post-fight face-off with Izzy was very, very cringe, but it kind of sets up Dracus to go fight Izzy for the title.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Even though I picked Dracus to beat Whittaker, I'm gonna have to do some serious serious soul searching before I can lock Dreykus to beat Izzy.
If he, before this fight, if you would have said they were fighting, I would have said Israel dominates. After this fight, I don't know. I'm probably still leaning Izzy, but it's definitely going to be a fight.
Another amazing fight. Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Jalen the Tarantula Turner. The Hooker won.
The Hangman's back.
Yeah.
2 straight wins after a tough little stretch. He's back.
But listen, I'm not saying I'm the all-knowing, right? Because obviously I still got some wrong. I picked 2 good underdogs here that did win, but I didn't see anything and nobody else did. The cards were just kind of in my favor here. With Hooker, he had a bunch of tough opponents, with his losses. He wasn't fighting nobodies.
Agreed. I think I was looking at it today. His last losses were like Arnold Allen, who's a serious contender at 145, Islam, Dustin Poirier. It's like, okay, I mean.
Yeah. So for Hooker to be able to bounce back from those kind of losses, Michael Chandler, and for him to be able to bounce back from those kind of losses, it just goes to show that your discipline,
he's a dog.
Yeah.
He's been in the UFC since, I looked it up today, 2014. Like, he's been in here.
Turner, on the other hand, he didn't come out well prepared.
I think he came out well prepared. What I think, he was winning the first round and a half of this fight, and I think
the knockdown.
No, I think the thing that changed it was when we kicked Dan Hooker in the head. It was a clean shot.
Oh,
and Hooker wobbled, but he didn't go down, and
yeah,
I think that took it out of Jalen Turner. It was like he was discouraged after that, and then after that, Dan Hooker just...
When Hooker saw his own blood, he turned it on.
Yeah, it was like Hooker needed to get rocked a little to turn it on all the way, and he dominated the last round and a half. I think every scorecard had it 2-1 Hooker. Hooker winning the second and the third. It was a split decision. I think one of the judges was actually the only person that didn't have it. He gave the third round to Jalen Turner somehow.
Yeah. And with Turner missing weight by over, 158 he came in?
Yeah, so missed it by 2 pounds.
Maybe he needs to look at moving up in weight class. He'll be able to stay a little stronger.
I think it was one fight. He probably just made a mistake. I wouldn't say he needs to move up quite yet. If he struggles with it again, definitely.
Yeah, let's keep him on the lookout as well.
All right, so the next fight we're going to talk about, it was the main card opener. Bo Nickel versus Val Woodburn. Val Woodburn was a last-minute replacement for Trayshawn Gore. This fight lasted 38 seconds.
Can I give you a stat about that real quick? So 38 seconds is tied for the 4th fastest fight of the night.
That's insane.
I don't even know what to say from that. 4th fastest. So we had a 38-second fight here.
But hold on, let's talk about this fight, though.
That's what I'm saying.
38-second knockout from the wrestler.
Yes, Bo Nickel knocked out Val Woodburn.
He feinted the takedown a couple times, and then just unloaded. He threw like 5 shots, and he landed, I think, 4 of them clean, and Val was out.
Yeah, there wasn't much needed after that. It was just electric. It was funny, and
so Bo Nickel's now 5-0 as an MMA fighter, 2-0 in the UFC. All of his fights are first-round finishes. He needs to step up his competition next. I know it's not all on him, but I think he's proven he's too good for these like young prospects. Like, he needs to fight a serious guy next. I think like a top 20, top 15 guy.
Right.
Just so we know how good he is. Because right now he looks like Superman.
What I think you're asking is for the UFC to test him.
Yeah, because this is his second fight, and both of them have been on pay-per-views, main cards. Like, he has the hype already. He has the popularity. I think a lot of people know who he is. I think it's time to test him and see how big of a star he can be. Because I know it was against a last-minute replacement it was his first fight in the UFC, but this was impressive. It just looked impressive.
The now retired ruthless Robbie Lawler was set to fight Nico Price, and man, did he set the world on fire again. when I said last fight that it was a tie for the fourth shortest fight of the night, this is the fight it tied for. Also, 38 seconds.
2 straight 38-second fights. That was crazy.
Robbie Lawler knocked out Nico Price in the clinch with a bunch of just very clean shots.
like
An uppercut,
4 or
I think, is
5
what finished it.
It was like 4 or 5 quick, clean shots, and Nico went out. He folded like a lawn chair. I don't think I've ever seen somebody retire in a more perfect way than this. Maybe Khabib, the way he did it, but this was just so impressive. And what a way to go out. I hope he actually is retired and he doesn't come back, because you're never going to get a better way to go out than this.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this fight here spawned this week's top 5 discussion. So that alone, it's just cool that as you're going out, they're not setting you up to do that, and you still were able to just do that. It's crazy.
Nico Price,
I had him to win. I lost a pick here.
Yeah, I actually got that one right, but I mean that was a pretty fair fight. So it wasn't. Yeah, they didn't just give him a sacrificial lamb or anything. It was an impressive win, Robbie Lawler. They even showed after the fight, they had a little video montage, made him tear up in the ring. It was just the perfect way to end a legendary career.
I didn't get a lot of picks wrong, but boy, did I get this one wrong.
I think we both got this one wrong, and Vegas got this one wrong too.
I picked Yasmin, excuse me if I get this wrong, Jauregui, sorry, over Denise Gomez.
So it's actually Gomes. That's another thing I found out.
Oh, it's Gomes.
Gomes.
My apologies again. So, Denise Gomes, first thing I noticed when doing my research here, she has a neck tattoo that says Overcome. I thought that was just whatever, just shitty tattoo.
It turned me off of her when I first saw it, but after the way she fought, I kind of like it now.
Okay, so listen. Denise Gomes knocked Yasmin out in 20 seconds.
It was so quick. It was unexpected. You just don't expect that in people that size. Like, that's better than the men that size.
Dominic Cruz would, when watching this fight, I'm sure would just be flipping out right now that it didn't take just a simple neck crank to end this fight. It blows my mind that this was a 20-second knockout, but this was a pretty heavy underdog. I think she was plus 290.
Yeah, she was one of the bigger underdogs.
So, props to her. Denise Gomes.
Impressive win.
On the radar now. I'm not going to be looking at your tattoos with any foolishness anymore. I know you're the real deal.
No,
my apologies.
I understand the neck tattoo now after watching that.
Yeah, that's a killer move.
All right, so the last fight we're going to cover from UFC 290 was Menifield Crute, the rematch after they drew in, I think, February or March of earlier this year. And Menifield came out and he showed that he had improved and he learned from the first match.
Yeah, it seems like he came out more prepared, more willing to do whatever it took to win the fight. It shows that Crute kind of just went out there with the same technique as the first fight.
Yeah, he had the same game plan, and it was obvious that Menifield
saw it. He was like, "Oh, you're still trying to wrestle."
Yeah, he evolved.
Well, let's do that then.
Yeah, he evolved, and Crute didn't. And it was a nice win from Menifield. It looked like that Crute was retiring. He took his gloves off and placed them in the middle, but then I think he came out today and said he's not retiring, but taking some time off.
He's like, "Oi, that was a brash decision."
Yeah, he's taking kind of a downturn in his career. I think it's smart to take a little time off, get your head straight, come back.
Yeah, that it's funny. A second round finish in what I'll call one of the most normal fights of the evening.
Yeah, nothing crazy happened in this fight, but
it was still a finish.
Yeah, it was a good fight for Menifield.